Florida State goes 13-0. They beat Louisville in their conference championship. We know Jordan Travis goes down a couple weeks ago, breaks his leg, stud quarterback. You and I were kind of on opposing views on this, that, would Florida State get in? Would they not? Would they leave an SEC team out? Would they not? Well, look, the committee has spoken. One-loss Alabama team gets in over Florida State, who won every single game on their schedule. This isn't a conversation right now about, who is Michigan going to play. It's simply a conversation of, did the committee get it right, in your opinion?
They had no options to get it right, Dave. They were stuck in a chaos scenario, which I was glad to see, because it's finally time that they had to either stick with their guns and leave the SEC out, or fold, which they did do, and let the SEC in and tell a Power 5 champion that was undefeated that you can't come. You don't get invited to the Invitational, basically. And I think that's an embarrassment for a couple different reasons, Dave. This is not what they have done in the past. This is so they let in 2021 they let Cincinnati in, who was not one of the top 4 teams. Like, I don't care who was injured, who wasn't injured. That happened. 2022 TCU gets in. Dave, you just said it like 5 minutes ago. TCU was not a top 4 team last year. Alabama with Bryce Young was far better than TCU was last year, and TCU didn't win they didn't win their conference championship last year, Dave. Remember? Like, there are things that with inconsistencies with these committees that are maddening. And if you're just going to do it, just be consistent. And that's all I ask for. I don't care about the Jordan Travis injury. Obviously that changes their team. I'm not stupid. Like, that does make it a different ball game for them. I watched Florida State's ACC Championship. I know you did too, Dave. That defense is national championship good. Legit. They got dudes now. They got like first-round draft picks, second-round draft picks on that team. And I don't really care that they have a backup quarterback. Lots of teams have backup quarterbacks that win games all the time. And if you're going to tell me they couldn't push Michigan, I think you're full of it. I think that line would probably be 8.5, maybe 9.5. So I get that, like, the Alabama line is 3, maybe started out at 2 or 3. So it will be technically a better game, but it's tough for me to watch an undefeated Power 5 champion sit on the sidelines after doing exactly what they were asked to do and not get their shot. It's embarrassing, really.
It's beyond embarrassing. Because here's the thing, Brant. Flip the script on this. It's all, look, money talks, first of all. There was no way in the world this committee was ever going to leave the SEC out of the college football playoff. And you want to talk about the 4 best teams in college football. Did they get it right? Look, I'm not here to say they did or they did not, because I don't know. I do know that they're not as good of a team, but Jordan Travis not being on there. Sure, fine, fair point. Brant, you mentioned their defense. This is a good football team. This is a really good football team. And the team is so much bigger than one player, as Jordan Travis said himself. Like, how bad do you feel for that kid? He puts his heart out there on the line all season, leads them. They're undefeated, goes down with a gruesome injury. The team picks up the torch, refuses to lose. They win the championship outright, 13-0, with a backup quarterback. Brent, I mean, sure, it was Louisville, but look, you could argue that was the next level in of itself. Yeah, they were playing with second, third string quarterback, and they still won. So what are we doing here? Because flip the script on this. If you were to tell me that a one-loss, let's just say Florida State team, or name any other kind of team towards the top right now, that they would have gotten in under these circumstances, right? Like Jordan Travis was healthy, they were one loss, but Alabama was undefeated, and Jalen Milroe went down. Okay, or any SEC team, you name it. If that is because that is what the chair of the committee said. It was that injury. So take Jalen Milroe out, or Carson Beck, or you name it, and down to the third string quarterback. You going to tell me that that's the reason that they don't put the SEC team in? It's garbage. Just come out and say it. You weren't going to leave the SEC out, no matter what. And those kids got screwed. They absolutely did. I don't know how Mike Norville and that coaching staff goes back and explains that to these kids, because you cannot. You won every single game on your schedule. At what point does it matter or doesn't it matter the games that you play on the field? Because to me,
Dave,
it seems like it doesn't matter.
Dave, you are absolutely right. The games have to matter. That's what they told us when Texas also was basically handcuffed to Alabama. Like they seemed convinced that they were twins. If we're putting Texas in, we're putting Alabama in, and vice versa. If Alabama's going, Texas is going. So I don't get how, like, and that's another thing that people aren't talking about is Texas just strolls in as well with a loss to Oklahoma. Like, no big deal. We're also here at the 3 seed. We do have a loss, but don't look at that. I know Florida State doesn't. Not a big deal. Don't look over here. We beat Bama. Like, yeah, I suppose when Jalen Milroe was not Jalen Milroe, right? Like, it's all how you look at it in perspective. And Dave, like you said, it's a money grab. I get it. I understand it. Just be real with us. Like, just say if you win the SEC, you're gonna go because it just means more.
That's exactly it. And like, look, man, I just wish that they would come out and say that versus being like, well, it was this injury. Like, man, they're coming out.
Nothing's gonna make a kid feel worse than coming out and saying that. That's what's ridiculous. Is you come out and say that about a kid, now he's got to go to his teammates and say, "Sorry, I wish I would have broke my leg 3 months sooner, so they could have seen what we were made of."
Yeah, right. And miss me with well, let's see how they do against Georgia in that 5 or 6 matchup. Miss me with that. That's not the point. The point is that they played 13 games. They won every single one of them. They scheduled Power 5 opponents in their non-conference schedule. Heck, you could argue that Michigan didn't do that. No. Florida State did. Yeah, they beat LSU on a neutral site against Jaden Daniels. Like, what are we doing, man? I mean, look, I am totally okay because I know that the whispers are out there about Michigan and Michigan fans and, oh, you're being scared to play Alabama. That is not it at all. I'm excited to play Alabama. Look, I want, if Michigan's going to make a national championship run and win this whole thing, I don't want any question marks about our pathway there or you got to play Florida State without Jordan Trapp. No, like, give me Alabama. I want to beat Alabama. If we're going to win this championship, let's do it the right way. But it's absolutely garbage what happened to these kids. And quite frankly, it's unacceptable. And college football just needs to do a lot better. The 12-team expansion, it comes at the right time. And look, I guess move forward from here. Go ahead, and then let's transition.
What sucks is they're going to just point to that and say, well, we won't have to worry about that again because we'll have the 12-teamer next year. So don't get mad at us. Blame the system. This system sucks. That's why we're getting rid of it. Well, you should have chose to do that at the beginning of the year, was just to change it to 12, and this would have never been an issue. You had the power to do it. You just didn't do it.
Well, and the ACC did not help with that. So in a way, they shot themselves in the foot. So, yeah, you're right, bro.